All right, everyone, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Brianna Hawkes. I am the Programs Director for CCHRA. And we are going to have an exciting speaker today, Jen Seregos. I asked her to say her name for me a bunch of times, and I'm so sorry if I got nervous and did it too quick right now. It always happens when you're speaking in front of people, right? But we have an exciting session. We are going to be recording, so I did put it at the beginning of the presentation, but just to let you all know, and then we are going to be posting this to, I believe, a YouTube channel. That way we can get it on our website, and you can refer back to it at any time, or if you had team members that you wanted to share it with as well. So the rough agenda for today, intro, then we will have our wonderful president, Todd, come up and say some updates for CCHRA. We do have Rippling here. Thank you to Rippling for sponsoring this event, and we'll let them come up and have a chance to talk to you as well. And then we will get started with our presentation. Sorry, I'm trying not to say and then I just like continue saying it. So we will have lunch that comes out as well, and then we'll give everybody a chance to grab that, and then we'll have a wonderful presentation. So Todd?
Testing this out with the audio here. So that's the great thing about volunteering. You get to learn new skills that you don't otherwise have, right? So my name is Todd Dolschel, the president of CCHRA. Want to say thank you so much for everybody coming here today. This is a volunteer-led organization here to help serve human resources and the broader members and the employees in our communities that we serve ultimately, whether we're talking about large corporations, for-profit, nonprofit, government, everything in between, sponsors as well, which again, thank you to Rippling for sponsoring today, and Seascape Beach Resort. None of this would be possible without you. A couple of roles that are open in terms of in terms of the board. We do have sponsorship director that's currently open. So that's the person who helps coordinate with all of our wonderful sponsors, make sure that we cover the overhead for events like this, because as we know, costs continue to go up for various things, right? So I want to make sure that we provide the maximum benefit to you. And thank you everybody for attending. Just curious, raise of hand, who here is a CCHRA member? Can everybody raise their hand who is? So about, half the room or so. That's pretty typical. So thank you so much for those coming here today, both who are members as well as non-members, and excited for the session here today. So if you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback around the chapter, please talk to one of our board members who happen to be standing around. Evie, the past president. We've got Nicole here, of course, Brianna, myself, and many others here. So thank you to everybody. So now I'll turn it back to Brianna for the program. Thank you.
All right, now I will go ahead and bring Rippling up. Again, thank you, Rippling, for sponsoring today's event.
Thank you so much, Brianna. It's amazing to be here in front of all of you. Show of hands, how many of you have heard of Rippling before? Okay, good. I always like to ask that. Sometimes it's everyone, sometimes it's no one. Well, awesome. So obviously we're all here to learn more about AI. It's driving the world forward, and we're here to learn more about how it can impact, your HR workflows and keeping your data secure. With Rippling, obviously we are a full service HCM. We've recently rolled out a new Rippling AI agent. So it's a chatbot embedded within our platform that ties to the employee data that is directly in your Rippling instance. So it allows you to pull reports much faster. You can do things such as onboard new employees. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about it and checking it out, Rami and I are right outside there, and happy to sign you up for a quick demo of the platform. We're also giving away Stanley tumblers for a demo as well. But with that, back to Brianna.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. And with that, I will go ahead and bring our wonderful speaker up. Thank you, Jen.
My pleasure. Thank you. All right, here we go. Human first, AI second. I believe AI has the potential to drastically improve humanity. I also believe AI has the potential to do really big harm to humanity. And what outcome we get is up to us. And that's what today is about. How can we as individuals and organizational leaders and people who are working with the people manage this technology in a way that is going to be ethical, responsible, and get better results? AI capabilities are now officially doubling every 6 to 7 months. And the way that researchers define the power of AI computation is by how many hours it takes a human to do the same task. So as of today, AI can do a task that takes a human expert in that field about 4 hours. So my question is, how powerful do you think AI will be in 5 years? Go ahead and take a guess. Just start thinking in your head. If it's 4 hours of the human work today, what do you think it's going to be in 5 years? Does anybody want to just take a guess? What do you think? 1 hour? Less?
No, 1 hour.
No, so, okay, let me explain. So now, let me explain, because I think so the definition of the compute power is, can the AI do a task that takes a human 4 hours? So it takes a human 4 hours to write an essay, let's just say. So how many hours worth of human work will AI be able to do in 5 years if it's able to do 4 hours worth of human work today? All of it. I'm going to have my laundry done. I'm going to have a chip in my head. I'm going to be able to speak Mandarin on demand. Okay, so here we go. We're at 4 hours today, like I said. By 2030, one push of a button will be able to accomplish 6.5 weeks worth of a human being doing a project. Pretty crazy. So Richard Feynman is one of the founders of quantum mechanics and quantum computing. And he said, nature isn't classical, damn it. And if you want to make a simulation of nature, you better make it quantum mechanical. Richard Feynman was a theoretical physicist. He won a Nobel Peace Prize, and he's famous for a presentation that he gave where he basically birthed quantum computing. And he gave this lecture, and he said, if you want to be able to simulate the way that nature acts, you're gonna have to get quantum. Now, I find this fascinating because this ties directly into the accelerating amount of technology that we're experiencing right now. The Human Genome Project took 13 years to complete and $2.7 billion. Today, because of our advancements in technology and AI, we can do that same task in under 12 minutes for a few $100s. Isn't that crazy? And one of the most amazing things about where we're taking this technology is how it can benefit humanity. One of the things that scientists are working on is creating superconductors where we can make energy anywhere in the world and transport it anywhere in the world quickly and efficiently without losing any power in the process. Right now we have these cords everywhere and all kinds of things that make it hard to transport energy, and that's one of the bigger problems that we're experiencing. That's why they're building these data centers and power centers, because we're needing more energy for all the computational power that we're all beginning to use. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that we can do with AI. One of which is robots. So I want to show you guys Neo. Has anybody heard of Neo? You've heard of Neo? Okay, we got some Neos here. Anybody pre-ordered Neo for the small price tag of $20,000? So I'm going to move my cursor. Bear with me here because I got to do some technical magic as I get my cursor over. There it is. Okay, there it is. So I want to show you guys Neo because this is pretty cool. Here's Neo. I want you to see the whole video because there's a really cute thing he does at the end. He's dusting, he's looking at the globe. He's actually, giving flowers. So, there's some cool stuff we can do with this, right? It's not all bad. It's not all Terminator. All right, I'm going to move this back over here so I can see it. and then we'll get back to the presentation. I'm going to be doing this a little bit here and there in the presentation, just as a heads up, just to show you guys some cool stuff. All right, now we're going back. All right. Now I got to get my mouse back over to me. Here we go. Cool. Okay. So I want to make sure we're Neo. Okay. So 144 to 1. That is currently how many AI agent to human ratio there are in large enterprise corporations. Pretty crazy. Gartner reported a 1,445% increase in people wanting to have agents in their businesses. Agentic AI is kind of taking over in a way, and it's becoming a very, very, very popular way for businesses to do more work faster and more efficiently, and hopefully with higher quality when there's a human in the loop. So, what does this mean for HR leaders? Your HCM platform is about to manage digital employees alongside humans. There's going to come a point where somebody, some regulatory entity within an organization, somebody's going to need to be able to manage the AI agents that are part of the employee workforce of a company. And whose shoulders is that going to fall on? Most likely on the HR department. So we want to arm you guys for the future and what's going to happen and how to navigate this new landscape that we're all in and we're all learning together, myself included. So I want to do a little demo with you guys. I put together a custom GPT for you to kind of just show folks in the room what's possible with AI in your space. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, quite frankly. So if you want access to the HR Leadership Coach custom GPT that I built for you guys here, you can go ahead and use your phones and scan this little QR code and feel free to play around with it, understand how to use your custom GPT to handle different scenarios in the HR space. I'm going to leave it up here just for a few more seconds, and then we're going to do this together. How's everybody doing? We got a couple more phones up here. I'm waiting for no phones, so I make sure everybody can get it. Okay, cool. Now I am sorry, I have to do this weird mouse thing so I have to get my mouse from here to here. But I'm getting better at it. Okay, so here is the HR Leadership Coach. I would love a volunteer to walk through a quick demo with me of this GPT so we can see how this operates in real time. There are some prompts that I put here for everybody so you can kind of see what this GPT does. So some of the prompts are, I need to have a tough performance conversation. Another prompt is, I'm mediating conflict between two team members. I need to prepare for a termination meeting. I'm coaching a manager who has a hard time with difficult conversations. So these are the kinds of things that we will be doing with the HR GPT. Do I have any volunteers who would like to do a demo with me of this GPT? Yes. Okay. Please give me an example. It doesn't have to be real life, or it can be something from your memory banks, but maybe just let's walk through an example where you would need to go to something like this to get support to have a difficult conversation. So maybe just walk me through what if you were to go in here and say, I need to have a tough performance conversation. Let's go ahead and do that one. Does that work for you? Okay, great. It does. It really does. Okay, so you hit the prompt. Once you hit the prompt, it automatically asks you, great, that's what I'm here for. Let's take this one step at a time. I wanted to understand clearly, what's your role relative to this person? Okay, so what's your role relative to this person? direct manager. And for speed of this demonstration, I'm going to have you just go ahead and explain to me the scenario so I can plug it all in now and we can start to see what this is capable of.
I think I'll pick something fairly simplistic that I had with a client recently. They have an employee who is just not responding, not showing up on time, calling in late, leaving early without giving any notification.
Okay, my typing is atrocious, but the good thing about AI is it figures it out for me. Okay, got it. You're the direct manager. The issue is attendance. Before we build the conversation, I want to understand the context a bit more so we don't misfire or escalate unnecessarily. How long has this been happening and how often are you seeing it?
It's been going on for 2 months on a weekly basis.
Let's see. This is a pattern, not a one-off. It's mirroring back what you said. And before we build this out, one more important piece. What have you already said or done about it so far?
This manager has made some comments but didn't sit down with them to have a discussion, just commented each time it happened. Sort of in passing.
Time it happened, sort of in passing. Okay. That's helpful and common. Reflecting back. What's nice about AI is it makes you feel really good about yourself. Anyone else ever notice that? If I'm ever having a bad day, I just go to AI. Jen, you're a genius. Okay, so here we go. Now it's giving you an actual conversation architecture. The conversation needs to do 3 things: name the pattern, reset expectations, make accountability explicit going forward. Gives you opening things to say based on what kind of a tone you want to have, whether it's collaborative, empathetic, direct, what the core message is, dialogue, accountability and next steps, likely reactions and how to respond, follow-up plan, quick documentation template, quick bias check. I'd love some feedback. Is this pretty helpful? Would this be pretty helpful for somebody? Yeah? Cool. I wasn't sure because I don't work in HR.
The challenges, right, when we deal with, and I kind of put attendance on purposes because California has sick time laws. And depending on the attendance issues, you have to be careful about what you're correcting on, because if they're using sick time that they have on the books, you have to be careful about how you discipline.
So that is a fascinating piece of information. If you would humor me for a moment, I'd like to put that in there and see what it says. I'm just curious. Yeah, this is really, really interesting, actually. So, okay, so how shall we phrase this?
Maybe if, do you have any other advice for California?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll put it as a California employer and I also put number of employees because that plays into role in regards to specific laws.
Right, I intentionally didn't. I wanted to see. I know it hasn't worked to like ask those differentiators yet.
So as an FYI, you can actually program that all into an AI chatbot or anything that you want, right? So you work and live in California, you want to do, so you can actually have it tap into California law database, or you can feed it the database as part of the context that you give the AI, the language learning model, and then you can actually have it be specific to you and already take that into account. But because this is a demo and obviously, but if you wanted to build a custom HR GPT or something of the like a skill in Claude, for example, you would want to give it files of information so that it understands and knows you're in California. This is the type of business. This is the da-da-da-da. So let's see what it says. I'm super curious. Good instinct to ask. California does have specific requirements, and this is where you want to be thoughtful. California paid sick leave. It's talking about pattern versus protected use, when this may trigger legal considerations, what you can hold firm on, subtle but important language shifts you can make, practical guardrails, and all kinds of information there. So it's somewhat generic, and it is not by design, but because I didn't, when I built this GPT, didn't put a lot of stuff in there that would be applicable to a particular business. So if you wanted to, again, to reiterate, build something like this, you could, in effect, put any customized information that you want into it so that it's giving you outputs that you are needing. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
And you'll notice your GPT also asks, would you like a role play?
Yeah. Very cool. My GPT is super on point. Okay, we're going to go back in here. I just need to swing this back over to my computer so I can see. And then I need to swing my mouse back over. It's janky, but we're doing it. And now we're bringing it back over to you guys. I only have to do this one more time in the presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Lord in heaven. Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk now about some other shadow sides of AI, because it's important to know that it's not all neo robots and doing your laundry for you and making your HR life super easy. There are some things that need to be addressed, and we do need to talk about. One of them is shadow AI. HR data is the most sensitive data in an organization. You have social security numbers, medical records, salary information, performance reviews, and a lot of people are putting that information in LLMs either unknowingly or accidentally, or they just, unknowingly is usually why, right? So this is a very important piece of information, especially in the HR space. We always want to make sure that we have a ledger of actual data that's never going into a language learning model, and that you use acronyms or, different, like employee A, is it for an example, that kind of thing. And we'll talk about that. And that part of that is going to be in the packet that I gave you guys. So you'll have time to digest that and work through it. But it's 70% of employees are using personal AI tools instead of employer-given AI tools, which is a huge problem. So imagine you have employee Joe Smith, who's using his free ChatGPT account, which is training the model, which means all of the information he's putting into his free ChatGPT account is now in OpenAI's database and using training its models. So this becomes extremely problematic, because that puts your organization at a huge risk, right? So number one, if you're in an organization, do a full sweep and audit of your employees and what they're using, what they're not using. Make sure you have an LLM that's set up as an employer LLM set up, and you assign team roles to your employees. And very important, and most importantly, have an AI policy and governance standard in the organization so that employees know what they can and cannot do with AI tools, and so your clients know. Very often, clients will ask, what's your AI policy? Are you putting my data in your AI? Because a lot of people are using it now, so it's starting to become an issue. And that brings me to this sensitive data piece. Almost 40% of AI interactions involve sensitive data. Yikes. So your team is likely using AI tools that you have not approved. And free accounts have a completely different privacy protection than business accounts. And on the free consumer plans, data can be used for training by default. And if you are on a paid account, it's really important to go into your settings and make sure that you turn off training the model. I want to touch on some California legislation as well, going back into that space. California has officially changed the rules in terms of AI. You can't just say, the AI did it. You are responsible for outcomes, even if an AI agent that you built for your company does something nefarious. So just know that rules and regulations are becoming more and more normal. And even though there's a lot of discrepancies between the federal government and the state governments right now in terms of AI policy, just know that, if you're in California, I would focus on being within the California rules for sure. Another thing that happens with AI is bias, right? So AI models only reflect what they're trained on. So that affects their output. And the bias comes from two places. One is in who's building the systems. So OpenAI, Anthropic, who's building these LLMs, it does take that into consideration and just train the model. The second is the data that they're trained on, meaning you, me, and everybody who's using these models, we're all using them. It's actually training the model on all kinds of very, oops, did I go here? There we go. Yeah. So it's really important to know and understand that there are biases in these platforms, and we have to take that into account and use what tools we have at our disposal to make sure that we're not being biased in using these tools. So when it works, it's great, right? So organizations that are taking governance and policies seriously and using human oversight are seeing a 45% reduction in biased outputs, which is fantastic. So with the right tools, with the right organization, you can avoid a lot of these biases and these mistakes that it makes. Oh, two more. So this is really interesting. I wanted to see for myself how biased ChatGPT was. So I asked ChatGPT, show me an image of a CEO. And it did show a woman, which is good, but it did not show anybody other than white people. So this is a problem, right? Okay, the never paste rule. So this kind of ties back into what I was saying earlier. This is probably the single highest impact practice you can implement, and this is super easy. Before going into an AI tool, do not put any PII into the tool. That's just a really basic, easy thing to remember. PII doesn't get pasted into the tool. Super easy. And know your account type. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Turn off training. It will help keep more secure information where it belongs inside your organization. Really important. Free plans, just as a heads up, they put on train the model as a default. So if you have any free plans that you use, make sure you go into your actual settings and turn it off manually.
So you can turn off the free on the free version?
Yes, yes. You just have to go into your back end there.
Well,
yeah.
Even my paid one, I just loaded it up.
The paid too sometimes will do that. Big time, yeah. Okay, so what are the 5 pillars of responsible AI adoption? The first pillar is literacy. It's so important to understand what these models even are, what they do, when to use them in the workplace. Like understand and train yourself on AI. Having the literacy is half the battle. The second is governance. Make sure you've got really good, solid, foundational rules and regulations in place inside your organization so that everybody on your team knows and understands where the lines are and when to use AI, when not to use AI, what to put in the prompts, what not to put in your prompts, all that. And if you are on an accelerated AI path and you're beyond LLMs at this point and you're building custom solutions like automations, workflows, and things like that, with an 8N or whatever, or you're working with a development team to do those kinds of things, make sure that you have a really good in-depth conversation with them about security. Ask them, like if you're in the medical space, are they putting the data on HIPAA compliant infrastructure? It matters. It's really important, especially in the healthcare space. The third is strategy. So knowing, first and foremost, yes?
Sorry, can I ask what you recommend for how often to update an AI policy? We implemented one in my organization about a year ago, and then we just went in and updated it because things have changed so much in that amount of time. And I was wondering if there was any kind of, if you recommend like once a year or even every 6 months or
100%. That's a great question. Yeah. I mean, with the compute power doubling every 6 to 7 months, it's kind of a hard thing to really say. It is dependent upon the organization and how AI heavy use you guys have individually in the organization. So if you're using 10 different AI tools from various things and you have custom solutions built, you may want to address your policy more often, like once a quarter. But if you have bought a team LLM plan for your employees, none of them have any training, you're not really sure if they're even using it, then you need to get the training first and then the governance, right? Or the governance first and the training, but then the governance isn't as often needed. Yeah. So strategy, understanding, what we just talked about. What is a workflow? What is an automation? Understand when to use different tools and different strategies with the technology safely, securely, and that it's going to get actual good results. Measurement. This is something that I find a lot of my clients that I work with and organizations that I work with, they don't measure, and I think to myself, gosh, it feels like things are better, but nobody really knows. So make sure you measure. If you hire a consultant or you hire a team or you do internal AI work, measure the benefit, measure your ROI. So let's say you're building an automation and the objective is to save your team time. So for example, we have a construction company that we're working with, and their RFP process takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. So there's a lot of problems with that, right? Number one is you can lose bids to other people who are getting proposals out faster than you, et cetera, right? So not only is it a bottom line benefit to be able to measure, we're changing our RFP process, we're using AI to develop this. Our 2-week proposal process just got down to 15 minutes. We closed 20% more deals as a result. That's direct ROI, and it's a direct measurement because something that took 2 weeks now takes 15 minutes. So anytime you're deploying AI into your organization, make sure that you have a starting point and you track the benefit over time and measure it, because sometimes you'll measure and you may find that it didn't help in the way that you thought it would, and then you need to address that and re-strategize how you're doing it. The fifth is data ethics. We've talked about this a lot today in the HR space. It's just so important. Make sure you use this technology ethically and responsibly. Again, you don't want to put social security numbers in there, all kinds of things that are going to potentially cause problems down the road. Something else that comes up a lot for me when I talk to people, more than organizations, but people, is the environmental impact of AI. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, make me a picture of Elon Musk in space. And this is what it made. And I just thought that was so great. With the little dog, with his little outfit. I mean, is that the best thing you've ever seen? Okay. Anyway, it's funny. So the reason why I bring this up is because Elon Musk has publicly said he wants to ultimately and eventually move energy onto the moon, into space, do all of our energy production outside of the planet, and then bring it onto the planet, which is going to require quantum mechanics and superconduction in order for that to work, right? We just talked about that a few minutes ago. So a lot of things that come up when I talk to people about AI, well, it's bad for the planet, it uses energy, they're building these data centers, we're not going to be able to have the power to even support this kind of infrastructure. So I want to give you guys some tools and information so that you can make better choices and feel better about what you're doing and how you're using the tools. The number one thing is LLMs take up way more computational and energy power than like Google, for example. So a quick and easy thing you could do right off the bat, if you want to know the scores of the Warriors game last night, go to Google. Not Gemini, but just do a normal Google search. If you want to work with your AI strategist that you just built custom GPT on how to have a difficult conversation with an employee, then use the AI, right? So being thoughtful about when to use the technology versus when to use something else that's a little bit easier on energy grids and the planet. So what becomes possible when we get this right? What happens when we deploy these tools ethically and responsibly in our organizations? We train our teams. We have governance rules. We're rocking and rolling. When you have these guardrails in place, you're able to give time back to your team. You're able to onboard consistently, offboard consistently, have SOPs and documentation for things and streamline and make things easier, faster, more simple for the employees. Another thing that comes out of this is your brand. So if you use AI ethically and responsibly, it will actually improve your brand and how people see your brand in the community. So I wanted to also show you guys my clone. I'd like to introduce you to Jen.
Hi everyone, I'm Jen Seregos and I'm here to talk to you about AI in the workplace. I have to say, it's great to be at CCHRA today, though honestly, I'm a little concerned that I seem to be in two places at once. My therapist is going to have a field day with this. But here's the thing, I'm not Jen. I'm an AI-generated clone of Jen, and she made me in about 10 minutes. Now imagine what someone could do with this technology without your knowledge or consent.
That's my clone. But it's a thing. Has anyone here heard of a deep fake? Right? So this is a problem. It's one of the main problems with AI technology, actually, believe it or not. There's a lot of people have a lot of issues that they talk about with AI, but this is actually one of the worst and most prevalent ones and one of the most problematic ones. So some of these stories I'll tell you, some statistics is fascinating. Deep fake content went from 500,000 files in 2023, and that projected to 8 million in 2025. Yikes. In 2019, criminals used an AI voice cloning tool to impersonate a CEO's voice and steal $243,000 from a UK energy firm through a single phone call. Another story of a finance worker at an engineering firm was tricked into transferring 25 million after a video call with a deep fake recreation of the company's CFO and other executives. All participants were AI generated. Nuts. Grok AI was found to be generating the most sexually explicit content. Shocker. Another issue that we see with AI is this divide and this gap in access. Only 1 in 6 people in the world are using AI tools. Adoption in the North is around 24%. In the global South, it's around 14%. And the gap between those who are using it and those who are not is actually growing, not shrinking. There's also a gender gap. Women are 22% less likely than men to use AI. The biggest gap is between women who are 45 and older. And researchers have identified this as a risk of awareness versus risk aversion. So it's more of an educational and informational issue than a fear-based issue. And the irony is the majority of the people that could benefit the most from this technology are the ones who aren't getting access to it. 2.6 billion people on the planet still don't have access to internet, let alone AI. Rural workers face problems and barriers, and even when we were talking earlier about how these models are trained, if those folks aren't using the models, then those models aren't being trained on them, which means they're completely getting excluded from the technology. So I just want to bring this to your attention and make you aware of it, because we want to support all people and give all people an opportunity to up-level and have access to these things. And it's important to understand that there are gaps, and anything we can do as individuals to support more people getting access to tools that are going to benefit them is really important. It's something I'm deeply passionate about and feel very deeply about. So everybody here has a handout. It's called the Security Playbook. I wanted to give you guys this printout. I just want to kind of walk you through a little bit real quick. I don't have, actually, let me just see here. What did I make? What did I make for you guys? So basically, I put a lot of content from what we talked about today in this packet, but there's actually a worksheet in here and a pretty deep dive that you can take. You can audit your AI tools in your organization yourself. There's actually a little worksheet in here. There's some rules for how to anonymize data when you put it into an LLM. And there's even an AI policy creation templated worksheet. So you can start, if you don't have an AI policy in place yet, I would start there and filling that worksheet out and start getting a policy in place ASAP so that your employees are all dialed in and everybody knows what's what. So what I wanted to demonstrate with you guys today is, first and foremost, what's possible. This technology is so powerful, and it can make so many people's lives better, but it can also do a lot of damage and make so many people's lives worse. And it's so important that we as individuals do what we can to make this technology work for the betterment of humanity, not the opposite. And all of us have that responsibility, and all of us have that capability as well. Everyone in this room is capable of doing this responsibly and ethically. I hope. I think we all are. If anybody would like a copy of my slides, here's a QR code for you. I'd be happy to send these slides to you. I'll leave it up here for a moment.